The Deputy Governor of RBI speaking, Mr. Gokarn, on the road ahead in 2010. Let's hear him out.
By way of the implementation of the 6th Pay Commission recommendations. This happened in October of 2009. We did not call it a 2008. We did not call it a stimulus because it was, in a sense, a mandatory expansion or increase in government spending. What we called Stimulus 1, which was announced on December 6, 2008, was actually relatively small in terms of actual expenditure commitments. It had a number of provisions to help mitigate the impact of the crisis, and also went in for excise duty reductions and so on. But the actual spending power, so money being pushed into the system, came from the October supplementary budget, which actually released the funds for the implementation of the Pay Commission recommendations. And that pushed an enormous amount of spending power into the economy, and we've seen consumer spending responding quite strongly to that. That was not the only component of the supplementary budget. There were oil subsidies and so on, but this was by far the most significant of them. Now, what is of some concern here is relative to government spending growth, or relative to the contribution that government spending is making to growth. The private sector does not seem to have shown great resilience. It's not collapsed by any means, and if you look at the graph, you do see in Q2 the number for which the overall growth number was 7.9. We do see a little bit of a pickup. We do see some turn up from the relatively sluggish rates of growth in the preceding 2 quarters. But in terms of significance, the growth rate is relatively small, and I think this is one factor that we have to keep in mind as a potential risk for sustainability of the recovery. This is a global debate now. We've seen Paul Krugman and Joseph Stiglitz, for example, arguing that the US economy is still now completely dependent on government spending. Private sector spending has simply not resumed to the extent necessary to sustain this recovery, and so they are arguing for a widening and deepening of the full stimulus. I don't believe we are in that situation. I think private spending is starting to recover, but the numbers suggest that the balance is very heavily tilted in favor of government spending as the driver of the recovery at this point.